And we are back. So now we're going to be talking about equipment, different types of gear, potentials, and all kinds of nonsense. So the first, we're going to break this one up into a few parts. We're going to do equipment types, we're going to do potentials, and then we're going to do set gear. I might even touch on the platinum gear that's coming out. First thing you need to learn, there's different stages of gear. You're going to notice it from the very first sign-in. You're going to get a free legendary capsule, and that's going to have these 4 options on it. Not these specific 4, but it will have this an option here, an option here, an option here, an option there. There'll be gray, green, blue, orange, or this pinky purpley color. And they'll give you a variety of different effects that seem like they don't give you all that much at first, but the combination over 5 stars is huge. Now, the first thing you need to know about this game is that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5-star equipment. If I can get a better option here. Sorry, my gear is all scrambled right now. All combined. So you get the cumulative effects of absolutely everything. You also get a small attack increase from equipping something in every single slot. Now, there are 3 of each type of equipment. There are, for the weapon slots, bows, swords, and maces. Now, or whatever you want to call it, blunt weapon or whatever. Blunt weapons, sometimes axes. Oh no, that one's actually a sword. Maybe there's another one somewhere else. No, that's a sword too. I guess axes are swords in this world. Alright, the blunt weapons have the highest attack, and they also have counter damage on them. The swords have a hit rate and the medium level of attack. It's got more than a bow, but less than a mace. Now, it's also got hit rate, which is arguable how useful it is. But they're the more balanced a piece of equipment. Hit rate is very good against high dodge enemies, but not always the greatest weapon. Most people prefer bows. Now, bows have the lowest amount of attack that they give, but they also give you an amount of crit rate. Crit rate is extremely important in this game. For any character that is trying to do damage, crit rate is the most important thing in the world, because it gives you access to another modifier, which just happens to be the hugest modifier in the game, which is critical damage. The way this game calculates its damage is based off modifiers, but we'll touch on that in another video, just to keep things shorter here. That's enough for weapons. Right now, though, we'll go into the armor. We have chest pieces. We have... Do I have a shoe? There we are. We have foot pieces, which are HP and dodge. As you can see before, the chest pieces are HP and defense. Now, there are also shields, which I never keep for their lack of any kind of usefulness at all. There we go. That have counter rate on them. Now, there are some people who have some kind of interesting counter rate builds, but generally, counter rate is a useless situational stat. The most beneficial piece that everybody goes for is the HP defense piece, unless you're going with a dodge build. Dodge builds and counter builds are considered somewhat gimmicky because they're very situational builds, where defense is always a solid thing to have that is always going to give you a very desired or desirable consistent effect. But that's generally what people go for. So the ideal so far is bow, chest piece. For accessories, we have brooches, which give you HP and defense. We have necklaces, which give you attack and mastery. And we have rings? No, that's a necklace too. And we have rings that, or earrings, who knows, but rings of some kind. It says ring, 2 rings in the picture, it's whatever. But rings give you crit rate and hit rate. So the first thing you need to know about accessories is which one you're going to be using is actually very important. The best weapon is always the bow for attack dealers. The best weapon is generally swords and maces for tanks. Swords if they need the hit rate, and just bigger, stronger weapons, seeing as how they're very unlikely to crit if they're tanks. With the way that they're going to be built. Now with the chest pieces, the armor pieces, the chest piece that gives you the HP defense, even though that one's a helmet, we'll go to an actual chest piece here, are also the strongest, almost consistently all the way across the board. They give you the best stats. You know, the bang per buck, this is your piece to raise that you should be looking out for. For the accessories, it's a little bit different. So heroes have this thing called Mastery, which is a base amount right here. The base amount never changes regardless of your rebirth level. It's always the same. It doesn't go higher, it doesn't go lower. It is this amount at 5-star, it is this amount at 1-star. Now, Mastery can be increased with necklaces. It's the secondary stat on necklaces, if I can find one. I'm so bad at this. Alright, here's Mastery. Now, Mastery is a 10-to-1 conversion. So if you get 1600 Mastery, 100-to-1 conversion, if you get 1600 Mastery, you get 16% total Mastery. So that range we just looked at with 7400 Mastery, if he gets enough Mastery, another 2600 Mastery from equipment, he will now have 100% Mastery. Mastery makes your damage consistent, so it's very, very, very good. However, the other stats are not always in perfect combination with one another. So there is kind of a sweet spot for the hero, depending on how you're going to build them, of combination with brooches, rings, and necklaces that I can never seem to click on for some reason. And necklaces that you're going to have to find yourself because we don't have time to get into it in this video. The next thing you need to know about equipment is potentials. The potentials that you gain are not created equal. The best potentials that you should be going for in order are probably damage is the most important one. Now, if you're like me and you just like to see high numbers, then attack is probably one of the most important ones, even though this one's only green. Come on, there we go. This one looks prettier. Alright, attack is probably your most important one. Damage is higher. Now, damage and attack have the same relationship somewhat. They're very, very, very comparable. So the higher number always generally wins. They both have a maximum capacity of 40%. It's just attacks is split between the weapons and a 5-star unique potential accessory. Attack, damage are your go-to because they're the guaranteed 100% always work potentials. Crit rate and crit damage are the secondary potentials you're going to be going for. Now, if you roll an item with pink crit rate and crit damage, generally you wouldn't re-roll that to get attack and damage over the crit rate and crit damage, because the crit rate and crit damage are going to be just too hard to get once you're refining your gear at a higher level. But crit rate, like we said before, gives you access to crit damage, which is the highest modifier in the game, with a potential. It starts at 130%, and it can get up to 198% unless you have some kind of other skill or buff or some other way to break that limit on critical damage. But it gets up to 198% if you have all pinks all the way across the board. The other thing you should know about the potentials is that they scale with star level. They scale very consistently for the most part. 2-star, let's take crit damage for example. 1-star, it starts at 4. 2-star, it's 8. 3-star, it's 12. If I could find one. I used to remember where all my gear was. Oh, it's close enough to 12. God damn it, whatever. 5 star is 20. I know I got some of these here. God damn it. There we are, right there. 20%. Generally, they scale very evenly up into their last level. HP, for example, is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10% on armor pieces only. Now, let's move into the armor pieces while we're talking about that. Armor pieces are going to be a little bit subjective, again, to the build that you're going to be going for. The most popular common ones are HP is the highest priority because HP gives you both attack and defense through attack by HP potentials. Defense is the next most important. Minus % damage taken is the next most valuable potential. And for the last one, some people might want to argue on this for what is the most useful one. But again, it is going to be very different, most different person to person, from hero to hero. I prefer flat amounts of defense because I think it gives you a huge advantage. If you had a flat defense for your fourth option with these other three, then your % defense potentials would get a huge buff. And the amount of defense that they can give you. But that's just my opinion. The HP, defense, and damage taken are definitely the best potentials by far. The differences from variant builds, from counter builds, and from dodge builds. But generally, defense is the best. Now, accessories are a little bit unique. They get this potential called attack by a percentage of HP, which takes your total HP, applies a % to it, and gives you that much attack, which is a huge amount of attack. Just for sake of experiment here, we're going to look at Meili. Currently, who only has 33,000 attacks. I took his 1-star gear away, and we're going to take away this. Oh, you know, let's look at. Yeah, this is my best one right here. All right, so 31,000 attack, Kai. We're going to take away this necklace, 3.3% HP and 10% attack, as well as the flat attack that was on there. And now we drop to 25,000, so 6,000 attack from one piece of gear. Now, as you can see, he does have over 100,000 health, so he gets roughly 10,000 attack through the combination of all of his attack by HP potentials, because it is available on every single slot. Now, accessories are unique in the sense that they have unique potentials that are only available for different levels of star levels, and that would be oh, actually I should probably say attack by HP is the only super important potential for accessories. The other ones are subjective to the star level, and we're going to talk about those now. So 1-star potentials, they can have HP, they could also have hit rate, which again, hit rate is kind of not that important. Attack by MP, by the way, is generally not very good, especially compared to attack by HP, they're almost nothing. Here we are. Hit rate is unique to this accessory. Now, hit rate is generally a weapon potential. HP % is obviously the armor potential. Now, the unique potential you can get from accessories are the same potentials that the gear of that level, star level, gives. So HP max at this is 2%, so it's max 2% on accessories as well. Simple to understand. At 2-star, it is crit rate and crit damage. So, a 2-star good piece looks something like this, where you have your attack by HP, you have your crit rate, and you have your crit damage for the two unique ones. The 3-star accessories are kind of, you know, just a nice place to save modification potions, because the only really good potential is attack by HP. The unique potentials for 3-star are counter rate and counter damage, which generally are not used in competitive play at all. The 4-star potentials are dodge and minus % damage taken. Dodge not super useful, but minus % damage taken is fairly good. It can get up to 4% on this star level. 5% ones, of course, are the absolute best because 5-star is overpowered, and you can get not only attack by HP, but you can get a pink up to 10% attack. Now the weapon, like I said, the weapons also have the potential to get 10% attack, and the accessory matches the same potential max for the unique potentials as the original piece of gear that potential is from. This 10% attack matches the 10% from a weapon. You can also get defense. I also believe that the regen increase health by 2%, for example, every turn is also a unique one for 5-star, but generally with attack by HP, attack, and defense, and how rare the 5-star modification potions are, people generally go for attack by HP, attack, and defense modification potions. Some people like to get mana. Also, there's hit rate by crit rate is pretty big if you are running into a lot of dodge players, because if you are super high in crit, this gives you actually 50% of your maximum crit after your crit rate potentials are on. So my Lee, for example, who's missing his 1-star gear but could generally get up to 100% crit rate, would get 15% total hit rate right off the bat for having that. So it's generally a pretty good potential, but for the most part, it's attack and attack by HP are going to be ruling the day. For the tanks, they're going to want the defense. Okay, I think I've rambled on enough about the equipment in this. This is all just refreshers, guys. Sorry to anybody going through this looking for some kind of new information. I'm just trying to condense older stuff into easier to watch videos. Alright, so that's going to be that for this one. I think I'm running a little bit long, so we'll come back and we'll do set equipment and how it works afterwards.